What's going on, everybody? Sigourney Jackson here with another episode of Hoop Politics. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell to stay up to date on everything that is Hoop Politics. So basketball season is quickly approaching, and we are geared up for one of the most exciting ones up to date at all levels of basketball. You have the NBA, which is going to have James Harden and Kyrie Irving back healthy. You got Russell Westbrook teaming up with the Lakers. You got Klay Thompson, who's going to be coming back after missing almost 2 years of basketball. You have college basketball with Mike Krzyzewski being in his final year at Duke. North Carolina has a new head coach. Women's basketball is going to be exciting, watching UConn with AZ Fudd teaming up with Paige Beckers. And you even have high school basketball where we get the opportunity to see Ari Bailey, Bronny James, and a slew of other basketball players. But something is very interesting that I wanted to take a look at, and that is the very first season of Overtime Elite. For anybody who doesn't know, Overtime Elite is a new basketball league which is going to serve as an alternate for high school basketball players to choose, opposed to going to college as well as going overseas or to the NBA G League. This league is supposed to be able to pay all basketball players a minimum of $100,000, as well as give them schooling where they are going to learn about economics, financial literacy, activism, as well as a lot of other things. Not only that, but they're going to gain access to top-notch facilities where they're going to be able to train. They're going to be around NBA coaches and former basketball players who are going to be giving them personal training, personal insight on how to make sure their body is at the best it could possibly be and how to train to be pros at an early age. While I think that there are a lot of really great things that can come from this, there are a couple of things that still kind of make me question the legitimacy of it and if it's going to be something that's going to stick around long term, and is it going to be able to jump over the hurdle that many other options have failed at and have not been able to do up until this point. And I wanted to really touch on those things, so without further ado, let's go and get right into it. Now, first off, before we start this video, I have to give a shout out to LeVar Ball, and I say that because I don't believe that any of this is possible without him being the forward-thinking genius that he is. A lot of people have given him flack over the years about how he was with his boys, with Lonzo and Jello and Melo, but what we've seen up until this point is he's probably going to have 3 boys in the NBA, which is a feat that is very rarely ever done. The only ones I can honestly think of is the Holiday brothers, Drew, Justin, and Aaron. LeVar tried to start his own league, being the JBL, and make it an alternate in order to put basketball players in the NBA coming out of high school while paying them and giving them more representation and so they can control their own careers. Now, while LeVar probably didn't have a lot of the knowledge and a lot of the experience that these other programs have after him, he was able to put the thought out there which began to spark the minds of those who are changing the basketball game today. So even though he may not get the flowers that he deserves in media or in the world, I'm here to say that LeVar, you are definitely a genius, and this right here has a lot to do with you. So thank you to your contributions to basketball. You've definitely helped out a whole lot more than people are willing to give you credit for. With that being said, Overtime Elite is going to be a really good program. They are talking about bringing in about 30 basketball players of all different classes who are eligible for the draft class anywhere between 2022 to 2024. You have a lot of basketball players that you probably have seen on social media throughout the past couple of years, such as Devontae Cobbs and Jazair Jackson. Overtime Elite is going to be giving them the opportunity to enhance their skills beyond that of high school and what they say is going to be cutting edge compared to what you can gain in college. Not only are they going to be paying salaries, they're also going to be giving the opportunity for players to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. They're also going to be allowing them to be able to sign contracts with shoe affiliate companies and really just make money. And that is not a bad thing at all. I'm all for players being able to make money as much as possible, because if you're going to be a workhorse for these massive organizations, then you deserve to be compensated as much as you possibly can, because it only takes one injury for your career to be over, so you have to maximize as much as possible. Not only that, but Overtime Elite is also going to be giving opportunities academically for players to learn about how to take care of their money with financial literacy, how to read contracts, how to prepare themselves for the next phase of life. And if they decide that they do not want to pursue a professional basketball career, they are all going to be given $100,000 in scholarship money, and so they can go back to an actual traditional college if they desire to. So all around, I can't necessarily be mad at anything with Overtime Elite, and I actually hope that they do well. The one thing that always bothers me when it comes to these type of leagues is this. Is it more important to get paid now or to get paid later? The story that always comes to my mind is when LeBron James did a meeting with Reebok and they said that they were going to give him X amount of dollars, and they wrote a check and said, listen, if you sign this right now and promise not to talk to anybody else, then you can have this amount of money. I don't even remember how much it was. And LeBron was so forward thinking into saying, if these people are able to offer me this much money, what can some of these other shoe companies offer? And we know the story. He is now with a lifetime contract with Nike and is on his way to being a billionaire if he's not already. When I look at these guys at Overtime Elite, I say to myself, okay, cool, they're getting $100,000 right now, which is great. But what I also say to myself is, what's not stopping you from getting that in college? And what I mean by that is, will college pay you specifically $100,000? No. But could you just make that off of your name, image, and likeness? I believe so, because Overtime Elite is not getting a bunch of random high school players. They're trying to get the top recruits, the top players in their classes. So these are the same people that will probably go on and be top 10, top 15 players in the country to go play for Kentucky or the Dukes or wherever they decide to play. So they already have somewhat of a name to be able to pull in $100,000 based on name, image, and likeness. Also, one of the things that I question about this program that nobody has been able to figure out, not the G League, not overseas, nobody. How can you build your brand at one of these programs if there is no national schedule where you are going to be seen on TV on a regular basis? And that's what's important. I think that what a lot of people have to realize is that if you're already a top 10, top 15 player in the country, you're more than likely already going to be an NBA talent outside of you maybe having some really bad off the court issues, you having a bad injury, or you just playing absolutely horrible in 4 years of college. So there aren't really that many programs that is going to make you into an NBA player. You kind of already are what you are. That doesn't mean that you can't develop and become an NBA basketball player in the future, but the guys who are the top recruits in the country, they are what they are already. If you're already going to go to the NBA, we understand that the NBA is a business. How can you maximize on your contract? How can you maximize to get the most out of your name, image, and likeness, which is ultimately a brand? College basketball for over 30, 40, 50 years has given players the platform to build their names and make massive platforms to galvanize eyes to them in order for them to call for the highest bidder when it comes to getting a shoe company deal, McDonald's, whatever it is. Prime example, let's look at Zion Williams. Zion Williamson was somewhat of a big time name coming out of high school, granted. But we see that he became a massive megastar once he went to Duke and when he decided to put his name into the NBA draft. That led to him getting the big time Jordan deal that he did. Now, some people might think that, oh, well, you know, Zion was also a great basketball player and that's why he got that big contract. That's where politics come in. That's not really the case. Because let's look at this for an example. Anthony Edwards this past year was the top player in the country and was the #1 pick to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He played college basketball. LaMelo, on the other hand, was number 3 or number 4, whatever he was. He ended up going to the Charlotte Hornets. He right now has his own shoe with Puma. Why is that? It's not because he's the #1 player, and I wouldn't say it's because he's the best player in the draft per se, but he already has a brand. He already has built his brand by being in the limelight with LeVar, Lonzo, and Jello for the past 4 or 5 years. He already was on TV with his own network with Facebook. So he actually had a reason to leave high school and go overseas because his brand was not going to be made or broken based on whether or not he went to college. He already had the eyes on him. The same way of how Jello can get into a game and pack it out in Summer League because he already has eyes on him. Not necessarily because he's an incredible talent. And I'm not saying that he's not a good basketball player. But what people have to understand is your brand decides what type of money you get off the court. NBA contracts, that right there, a lot of times can come off of situations, it can come off of opportunity, it can come off of what the NBA is looking like and what you're doing on the court. That more so equates to basketball. But when it comes to getting money off the court, which is what Overtime Elite is trying to incentivize, I don't know if you can get a better opportunity than playing national scheduled games every single week on TV in front of millions of people. Lonzo Ball built his image based on those UCLA games against Kentucky. He built it off of the highlight reel alley-oops that he was getting, the full court passes, the step back threes from half court. That's what built him. Another example that I would give is I look at this past draft, I look at Jalen Green. Personally, in my opinion, I think Jalen Green is probably the best player in the NBA draft. He went to the G League. When he got drafted, to the average fan, not many people knew who Jalen Green was. The kids knew who Jalen Green was. Social media knew who Jalen Green was. But what we have to keep on remembering is that the fans that are following a lot of these younger basketball players are kids. They don't have the money to go out and say, I'm going to spend $120 on a brand new shoe or on a jersey. They're asking their parents, and the parents are not on social media like that. So they're gonna say, who's Jalen Green? I didn't see him playing in college this past year, but they're gonna know who Cade Cunningham is, even though he was at Oklahoma State and was the #1 pick. So when it's time for contracts for who gets this shoe and who gets that shoe, Cade Cunningham might get a better contract than Jalen Green does, not because he's the better player, but because he has more of the brand. And he's already being seen on a regular basis. I'm not saying that what Overtime is doing is bad. Like I said before, I think that what they're doing is great. I just think that somebody has to figure out how can they create their own network to play games nationally on TV for people to see on a regular basis. That is the only thing that separates college basketball from everybody else. It's not the coaching, it's not the development, it's none of that. It's the fact that you can go to a campus with 30, 40, 50,000 people, and you can have your gyms packed out every single night. You can have college game days and millions of people can watch you, and you can build a legacy for yourself in front of the NCAA. I am not an advocate for the NCAA. I could care less about them. But the reality is the reality. And until somebody can figure out how to put these players on TV when they're not playing the NCAA, and so kids and adults can get used to seeing them and build that relationship, and so that can translate to more money when it comes to off the court contracts, I'm not sure if anybody could beat college basketball. So what do you guys think? Do you think that maybe I'm tripping? Maybe this Overtime Elite stuff is going to work out perfectly and it doesn't matter because these guys are good enough to get good contracts anyways? Or do you think that there actually might be some truth to what I'm saying? I would love to hear in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on everything that is Hoop Politics. And as always, God's always in control. Peace.